much. Right, so we steadily move on now to our next session. This is all about the world of startups. As I mentioned earlier on, we have 12 great startups over the other side in the exhibition area, each with a great big idea, sharing what they've got. Hopefully you've had a chance to at least wander around and have a look at exactly what they're actually showcasing. And also they'll be there the full day tomorrow as well, so you'll have a chance to see some of the innovative ideas that are suddenly coming out of Jordan right now. Okay, so we move on to this next panel discussion, appropriately called Startups Moving Forward, and the gentleman that's going to take care of this, moderate this, and shape You've Forgotten Something. Your phone, there we are. And the gentleman who's going to shape this healthy and productive discussion all about the state of play of startups, certainly in the region and further afield. Please welcome to the stage the president of Startup Joe Council, Mr. Ahmed Hanande.
Thank you very much for giving us this 1 hour slot to talk about a very important topic, and that's the startup scene and the ecosystem in Jordan. And I would like to call to the stage our distinguished panelists who are all from the startup community in Jordan. And instead of me introducing each and every one of you, I will ask you please to introduce yourself to the audience, what is left from the audience actually. So we'll start with Shoko.
Which is an e-commerce platform provider in the MENA region. What we do is we prepare online stores for whoever wants to start selling and experiencing e-commerce in the region. Our forte is that we link you with payment and shipping gateways. We have more than 31 payment and shipping gateways all over the Middle East. And we built over 1,000 stores so far. And we're one of the early starters back in 2010. And we love e-commerce, so if you love to start a store and you don't know where to begin because there's not a lot of resources online, feel free to visit shopgo.me.
Thank you. Anas.
Hi everyone, I'm Anas Shami. I founded 3 successful companies throughout my career, and today I'm the CEO of Olympia Pass. It's a platform for you can book any gym in your area, in your city. We started in 2017 in October, and today we're operating in 4 cities: Amman, Kuwait, and Cairo, and Beirut.
Thank you, Anas.
A single service, so everything related to content is what we do. From getting your blogs written to press releases, revamping your website content, to rewriting it from scratch, plus the translation, editing, and proofreading. It's the first and only in the MENA region to be dedicated to a single service. Product was launched last year in June, and the first 6 months were on the enhancements in bug fixing. And you can say that we officially went live early this year. So far we have more than 10,000 freelancers and more than 1,000 employers. And the journey just started.
Thank you.
My name is Mohammed Afanji. I'm from Gaza. I was born and raised in Gaza. I lived half my life in Egypt, now in Jordan. My experience in
working with entrepreneurs in Palestine. Moved to Jordan because God blessed me with two boys with disability. So we moved here because we were seeking for better education and therapy for my boys in Amman. Since I moved here, I started working on helping other startups and small businesses around Jordan. And also, me and my wife, Reem, she's there, started as a social enterprise, a startup called Habaibna, which is we're providing content, Arabic content about developmental disabilities, parents and specialists who make videos and articles about disabilities in the region.
Thank you, Muhammad. Thank you, everybody. Looking at the startup scene in Jordan, we see a lot of stories, so many stories. Some who achieved success and managed to scale beyond the borders of Jordan, some who failed and started another project and failed and they're about to start their third project. Some who were about to fail and with the power of women they managed to pull up the company again and succeed. With the minimum support given to the startup ecosystem and the startup environment in Jordan, we see that this environment proved itself in Jordan. Although we don't have the proper statistics, we don't know how many startups actually in Jordan, we don't know how many people working for startups in Jordan, we don't know the contribution of startups to the economy in Jordan. But from our personal experience, we see so many people actually within this environment, within this ecosystem, if we may say it's an ecosystem. In my opinion, I believe it is there, although immature, but it's there. It's progressing. It's growing, and in my opinion, it's the fastest growing today in Jordan. And I see more people getting engaged into this ecosystem, and I see more people interested to come into this ecosystem. But I will ask and we have e-commerce enabler, we have lifestyle enabler, we have professional services enabler, we have an expert who operates in two markets and more into social media, if I may say, Muhammad, right? So I will start again with the one and only female on the panel. We were supposed to have two, and then Noor sent a representative. So how do you look at this ecosystem as a startup? How do you see the startup ecosystem in Jordan? How do you see it? What does it mean for you?
I think it's very interesting. When we first started back in 2010, it was the hype. Everyone was talking about starting new businesses, and I remember we had 500 startups, iPark, and all of these guys doing a good job. And then nowadays, maybe because we're a bit away from that, more into the operations, I believe that it's like a hype that is about to die. Or maybe to look at it in a better way, we need to recharge it and look at it again. I loved today early in the opening ceremony when you said the 1,000 entrepreneur projects. So I think we need to get more into keeping that momentum going instead of having it die. I know of the 500 or 600 startups that we're supposed to be now in, as we speak, businesses in Jordan, we're talking about less than 50 that we are aware of that started back then. So I think we need to keep on going and having more startups and ideas being pushed and making sure that these guys see the continuity after the seed stage maybe.
If I may summarize what you said, you're negative but optimistic.
Yes.
So you're negative about what is going to take, but optimistic, with the right push, we'll make it.
It's more of let's not forget that and let's recharge and let's make sure that we keep the momentum going.
Anas, what do you think?
Yeah, I have a positive view about the startup scene in Jordan. The thing is that we have real progress. We have to admit that it's a nascent ecosystem still, but at least we have some kind of progress. For sure, we have some hindrance here due to some regulatories and the limited fund and VCs I think it's like a platform. It's a two-sided ecosystem. Like if you have the fund, you will have more ideas to generate. So the good thing, the good part, that there is a progress, but the bad thing is the progress is so slow.
If I want to comment on what you said, I don't see funding as a problem for a good idea or a good project. If a project is carrying a good potential, if the project carries a good potential and the idea is relevant to the market, and any investor can see it carries a potential, then I have not seen funding issues for good ideas.
I think it's a chicken and egg dilemma again. Now, when you meet a VC, they sometimes will tell you, okay, we will not invest unless you are a serial entrepreneur.
But I met VCs who says we're running short of good ideas. We have money, but we have no ideas.
Actually, I didn't face this thing, but the ecosystem,
So from your own experience, you got the fund?
From my own experience, I got a fund for my 3 startups, and we're doing good.
So you never had a funding problem?
I'm talking about the people around me.
Ask the lady next to you about the funding problems.
Yeah.
I'll move to Oored. Oored is a different story. They're achieving a major success in the UAE, and they're expanding into Saudi Arabia, and they could not operate in Jordan. And to be honest, I never managed to get the answer. So how do you look at the startup scene in Jordan, while most of the people working for you are actually based in Jordan?
I'm going to segment the answer into two. The idea of it saying that the startup ecosystem is there or not is, in my personal opinion, dependent on the amount of how many startups get mentors and mentorship. And we can always see a positive correlation between startups having mentors and mentorship and startups that don't. The more we get involved in the startup ecosystem and support, like people who have made it and have made successful companies or multi-million valued companies, need to share their knowledge with fresh grads who have the idea but don't have the experience to get there. So it is a collaborative effort, and I always say that this might not be exactly the answer, but if you think of it in a simple triangle, let's say that one edge is government, the other is private, and the third one is the educational system. To get to a mature ecosystem, you need the 3 of them to work harmoniously. So the thought process that I have, for example, Oored is currently investing in AI, deep learning, and natural language processing. To sum that up, the idea of it is a machine can translate as good as a human. That's what we're trying to achieve and to get at. If you go to universities today, no one is actually teaching our students artificial intelligence, for example, blockchain, the things that matter to our industry. So instead of me, I'm going to pay the money regardless. So instead of me going somewhere to another country, to another institute, why don't the government, for example, take the 3, 4, 5 universities, top excellers, and have them as the final year program or the final project that they're going to work on as industry-specific research topics. So I'd be more than happy to invest in or pay a grant, let's say, to the students who have done the research for NLP in my personal experience. And there's a high possibility of me actually hiring that team at a later stage. So if you want to say that the 3 of them work harmoniously today, not really, but we will get there. The idea is to try and push that.
But still, Rakan, Oored achieved their success depending heavily on the Jordanian resources.
100%.
Right? Which means we do have the resources.
We definitely do. Jordan has...
But you achieved the success in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Until now, I don't think you have achieved it here in Jordan where the resources are.
Okay, I'm going to look at this a bit differently. The idea is Jordan is perfect as a hub for early stage startups with an MVP. Personally, Reed was done by Jordanians, and the MVP was launched by a company in Jordan. They're called SIT. So, for a company to start here in Jordan, it's the perfect base for you to do so. You have the talent, and cost-wise, it's going to end up being cost-effective for you, comparing to Dubai, for example, to have developers there. So, as a test bed, Jordan is great. But for you to reach maturity, you need a global market. So that's why we went out to UAE, to KSA, to the States, to globally, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that, but I want to hear from Muhammad how he looks at the startup scene in Jordan.
It's actually the startup scene in Amman because we used in Palestine, in Gaza and Ramallah, we used to look up for the ecosystem in Amman, for oasis, for Zayn. We want more places in our community like the places here in Amman. And when I worked in Al-Karak, Ma'an, Al-Tafila, each and every time I find also people out there looking for the startup ecosystem or the scene in Amman. Recently, we've seen many initiatives by corporates and others to go to those cities. The ecosystem here in Amman is good, as Rakan said, for you to start. It lacks many things, as any ecosystem in the world. Each and every place there is a lack of certain resource. There is no country in the world have all the resources. But at the end, I think it is good, it is great for companies to start here, but it has to move all around Jordan to be the Jordanian ecosystem, not only the Ammani Jordan ecosystem.
Something that Rakan said, Jordan has a green field for companies to kick off their operations, and then at a certain level they need to move out or expand or scale up beyond borders. But Lubna, does that mean Jordan has no market for startups at all? They all have to scale up outside at the point of time?
As you were saying that, I was thinking about our case. So majority of our clients are from Saudi Arabia, then the UAE market, and Jordan is by default because we're here. But recently we're realizing that yes, we're still operating there, nothing has changed, but there is a lot of, in our case, online businesses that can, offline businesses, retailers that can go online. In all of the Middle East, it's around 2% that are actually online, whether they have a website, an e-commerce website, or just a social media page. So if we take it down to Jordan, it's even, let's say it's the similar ratio, 2% of the total retail stores. So we're talking about enough stores to cover for what we are looking for as Shopgo, for instance, although we're getting it now from the Saudi market and we were never there. So yes, there is enough market here for us to capture and take and then go to the next markets. But I think everyone, part of it is the norm, part of it is you open doors when you go outside, and we learn from it. We needed that. So it's a combination of things, I believe.
The thing is, we're born in Jordan, mature somewhere else. So can we be born in Jordan, mature in Jordan, and then go somewhere else? Reaching the maturity in Jordan is being a challenge, but going to the lifestyle, for example, Anas.
Actually, all of my startups I started here in Jordan. Jordan is I think is the best place to start from, because it's a good market, but not that big. So you can test frequently and get feedback. Then you have to scale up. You have no choice if you want to. You have to scale up. So when it comes to our market, we have a $70 million market for fitness membership. When we compare it with Saudi Arabia, it's a $1 billion market. So it makes sense that we have to start here, we test the model, the supply chain, then you scale up after the maturity of your product. That's what we did. We started with Jordan, we proved our model, repeatable model. Then we scaled to Kuwait, then Beirut, then Cairo, and now we're opening in Jeddah and Riyadh.
So the thing is, you're talking about Jordan as a test bed for startups.
Actually, it's a kitchen more than a pilot or testing. It's a great kitchen to build your startup here because the market is small.
But I know my question, I'll go to Reed now, in the business that you're doing. Okay. I'm coming from a corporate. Copyright is a challenge. Translation is a challenge. Okay. Writing up case studies or stories is a challenge in Jordan. So the market needs these services. And you're using Jordanian talents to provide these services. Okay? How come with us in corporates facing these challenges, needing these services, are unable to use the services of Oored in Jordan, but in the UAE they use it, or in Saudi they use it, or outside Jordan they use it?
No, not really.
Is it the accessibility to the market in Jordan, or is it no market in Jordan? And I'm not convinced that there is no market for startups in Jordan. Maybe
there
it
is a
depends on the
market.
business that you're doing.
There is for sure. It's not only about the market size. The idea is if you want, depending on the product that you're selling. So if for us, at least for Reed, we're trying to think regionally and globally. And I believe that startups, some of them here are thinking locally. If you want, for example, to solve the delivery problem, you shouldn't think only in Jordan. Jordan is a great market, but if you wanted to reach to every cell phone that there is, that everyone is grabbing a hold of, then you need to think globally. So for us on Reed's perfect example is the highest number of linguists we have is from Egypt and from Jordan actually. And it's not about them not being able already, it's the idea that some freelancers don't have the right tools and skill sets that equip them to be good translators in the 21st century, for example. So to combat that, what we've done as a platform is we are going to launch Oored Academy. 1st of October it will be live. The idea is we're collaborating with multiple universities, and those courses will be offered to freelancers to help them learn new tools and new tech that is available for them and at their disposal in the 21st century.
Okay.
Helping that and making sure that they improve their skills will mean a better journey for you as an employer or a client asking for a service. So we're trying to complete the circle basically.
Excellent. Muhammad, if you have anything to add.
Well, I think we can't look at the Jordanian ecosystem alone. We have to look at it with the Palestinian ecosystem, along with the Iraqi and Syrian ecosystems, because we find here in Amman and in Jordan, Iraqi Syrians and Palestinians who are working here also. We've recently seen Omani and Saudi, different entities are coming along to Jordan to look for opportunities. So I think Jordan alone can't be like a standalone ecosystem. We have to collaborate more with the surrounding countries and build on the talent, on the market, on each and everything is missing here can be completed with the other ecosystems around us.
I'll go back again to the ecosystem and go back to Lebanon and ask her more, if you are tomorrow the person in charge for the startup ecosystem in Jordan, okay, what would be your first decisions?
That's scary.
You should be able to answer this quickly.
So if I am to change the ecosystem,
You have the full decision, big budget, okay? Prime Minister will listen to anything that you say. He has a mandate to implement the plan that you put on the table.
it's hard, but
Anybody else can take the answer. Yeah. Think of it, we'll come back to you. Because I know that you have the answer I'm looking for.
think each entrepreneur who said the government should do this, the government should do that, I always say the government should leave us alone. اذهبوا أنتم إلى الله. So we can do at least 3 years of exemptions, some facilitation, and just go. Prove yourself. After 3 years, if you succeeded, let's come and tax you, for example, or will support you of certain support needed. But I think the startups are waiting for governments, for organizations.
Take a
support.
decision.
They have to take a decision.
Give me a decision.
Yes.
You are in the government, so don't criticize the government. Take a decision.
I'll leave this ecosystem alone. Just
Does it work for time where the government leaves the ecosystem alone?
It does actually, and I agree with his point. The idea is if you have the government, the most important thing, the most important tool for the government is to stabilize, put policies in place and not change them. For example, it creates a huge uncertainty for any entrepreneur or any investor that does their calculations based on a certain tax value. And come a year after, you realize that that is going to increase. Based on your own calculations, this increase might eat up your entire profit margins. So the idea...
But still, Bakan, with me,
Yeah.
you are the decision maker. Take a decision.
A few things. I've done some research and I've realized that we are working in that direction. For example, a lot of people are going into co-working spaces. So previously, you can get a license, but تقدرش تشتغل unless you get the vocational license, which requires you renting an office. So for a startup and for two co-founders, we all know that they work from garages, from cafes, from whatever it may be. So having the ability to be legally registered while you can be at a co-working space is a great advantage that was just done.
This is a known challenge.
Yes.
I think the serious steps are taken to sort it out. But
Another thing is it can be considered a tax exemption by having startups. For example, for the first year or two, any employee that they hire, الحكومة بتتكفل بالضمان تبعه مثلا, for example. This can be considered a tax exemption, and this can, on calculation, on paper, might be a hefty amount the startup pays when they're really trying to bootstrap and maintain cash.
and I'll put the question another way.
Yeah.
What they say, we have not been inventing the wheel anywhere in the world. They said startup ecosystem is built over 5, 6, 7 pillars. I'll mention part of them, which is the regulatory, the policy, the human capital, the markets, the access to finance, okay, and the support. If we may say, these are the main. Startups always complain about access to markets, finance, and policy. Okay. Now, taking into consideration your experience in Jordan, what you have went through in Jordan, what do you think need to change in Jordan to make things better and to take us to the next level? Okay. We said global, local, testbed, back office kitchen, answers that we are all looking for. Some of us says, no, there is a market in Jordan, we have many challenges and it can be money generating and startups can succeed in Jordan and then move out. Some says, no, test bed and let's move out. With a back office kitchen and scale up outside. We want to be global and we don't want to concentrate locally and so on and so forth. But taking all this into consideration, what is it that we need to move to the next level?
I think now Jordan, there is an initiative called ISSF. It's a fund from the Central Bank and the World Bank. I think it's the first step toward the growing this ecosystem. So I think things should be both way, top down and bottom up. So we have to work on, as the future chairman of Taj said, that we have to work on our children. We have to raise them on the entrepreneurial culture.
So
we
education, you mean that we have to do
yeah,
something about the education?
Yeah, the education is the first thing that we have to do.
And the funding,
And the fund now, what's the...
so ISSF, you think ISSF is going to be the...
yeah, they're doing this thing.
We'll have to wait and see.
Sorry?
We'll have Muhab is here.
Mohab,
I think we need to wait and see.
I think Mohab is doing a great job, yeah.
That ISSF question will ask to the board member of ISSF in a while, to Bashar, to answer how ISSF will change the scene in Jordan.
Yeah. I think it's the first step to improve the ecosystem, the pillars of the ecosystem. Yeah, I had a discussion with Mohab and he told me that they're $3 million to support young entrepreneurs. And the other
And let's take them one by one so we stay focused. Human capital or access to talents and human resources. Lubna, do you think there is something that we need to change in Jordan?
Yes, but I would like to go back to one more point, if I may. I think we need to digitize all information because access to information is really scarce. And as you mentioned, when we were going through a hard time, it was so hard to know what is right or wrong because no one actually knew where we can look for information.
So we have a problem in availability and access to information.
Yes, and to digitize it mainly because that opens it and makes it
You
transparent.
not have an easy access unless you digitize it.
Exactly, and we can know what's missing and what's not missing instead of figuring out that it's with one person who knows because it's been there for ages working for the government or something. So that's one. Two, in terms of access to human capital, I think we have good talent as we all agree. And the thing is we can't keep that talent because we're competing with, of course, the private sector and all, or companies that are moving because they know that Jordan is a good resource. So we see international companies coming to Jordan for that. And I think maybe the government, I don't know who can help with that, to subsidize some sort of that. I know that there was an initiative in covering that, but it's not enough to actually compete. It's not actually helping us.
This is the question. Is it the access to human capital? When you say we have a problem accessing to talents and human capital, my question is it the startup ecosystem is not attractive enough for human capital and the private sector is competing?
Very interesting.
Or is it the education problem where people who graduates are not fit enough to support the startup business? Or is it, what is it exactly that we need to change?
Change or probably, yes, educate people more on that joining a startup is a nice thing. I remember when I was at PSUT, we started that DART community where we talk about entrepreneurship and how to start your own business. So that's why we're looking for fresh graduates because I know that they understand that us think, yeah, let's go to a private company that has structure and everything where there's no risk. But I think people are more adaptive now and they kind of like it. I think, again, we need to work on educating people as we go
awareness.
To the central point, yes, awareness. Because
this is important, yeah. And one of few people came to me when I left my job and asked me that question. If we have an offer at a big corporate, from a startup, where do you think we should work? With a startup or at a big corporate? I said, work with a startup that gives you a share in the company. Because that's the only way startups can have a better access to the good resources by offering them shares in these companies and let them share the vision and the dream. But I'll go to Muhammad on the human capital. Would you add something?
Yes. I think there is a huge potential here in the youth in Jordan.
Let's say we have to start see some segments in the technology scene and focus on those segments. For example, Android programming, and then train hundreds and hundreds of people, and tens of them will rise up and continue. Others will seek for other technology, and then also I think creating a free zone for startups that they work on with tax exemption, and also bringing expert or talents from outside Jordan, not competing with the Jordanians, but when you bring an Indian, for example, any other nationality in Jordan, and this guy worked with the other 5 Jordanians, he will bring that talent with him, and we'll start seeing the interaction between the talents of Jordanian and other people. We're here in Amman, we're seeing Syrians, Iraqis, and other programmers, designers are working in the scene, and they're collaborating and bringing their experience into Jordan. We can't build the capacity of the Jordanians without looking to the talents and experience of people outside Jordan. So I think this interaction is very important for us as companies, as startups, to otherwise we'll go for the online and freelance platforms to just pay them from Jordan to Turkey or any other countries, or Egypt, for example, with one of the companies I work with. So each month we send a good amount of money to Egypt because there is good freelancers in Alexandria that they support us. So we have this collaboration within the community.
Thank you, Muhammad. I'll move to the regulatory policy. Rakan mentioned about the registration as a challenge, and we all mentioned taxation as a challenge. And that's it. And the regulatory side and the policy side. Lubna, you want to say
I'd like to
something?
add, talking about awareness earlier on, we already are promoting that home businesses can actually start now with some legal work. So if you are a home business, you can start your online business now. So this is something obviously not everyone is aware of. So that is one, and we are working towards that, and not a lot of people actually know that.
That's what I heard the other day. You can register a business from home. You can register a business from an incubator. Some say no, we cannot, and there are so many rules and regulations for that. And others say yes, I did it, and we registered. So apparently, yes. Apparently, the message that we're sending out, by regulation it's there. By practice, some people are complaining the process is too complicated. So maybe the process is complicated, but people are giving all the awareness is not there. But see, the question is, are you happy with the position of the startups on the priority list for private sector and government?
I think it needs to be much faster, much simpler. Simplify things for the startup. You don't need to put all these.
Is the private sector doing their role towards the startup community in Jordan?
Very interesting. No, I really say that, and strongly. Why? From our case, I always take it to things that I have actually went through. So there are companies like Aramex. We started with a really nice partnership, and we still have it. I think more companies need to start doing that. From here, we can name all those big private companies that are either family-owned or actually working. When we went to 4 years from now in Barcelona, I remember last February, it was very interesting to see all those big corporations, whether privately owned, or family businesses or privately owned, Mercedes, Sony, you can name it. They all were participating and have startups working with them, not for them. This is something we're not really pushing hard for. I know it's really...
Is the government, in your opinion, playing a slight role in having the startups on its priority list? Are the startups on the priority list of the government?
I think we're there, but not as a top priority. If someone else has a...
Yeah, Rakan.
We have a set example of this where the central bank, we all know the the central bank actually referred it as a local supplier.
I'll give you 50 GDs, give me another example.
Okay. That's fair enough. That's the point. At least there is one, rather than there is none. So,
It's a proof that it can work.
exactly.
And my question, and I'll ask honestly, the importance that you get from conferences and seminars and then the speeches of the government. If you walk into a government institution, will you feel the same importance?
No, actually, registering a company in days without being there. So I think all startups are registered in BVI. That makes it easy for investment and issuing new shares and all these things. So we can register our company in 1 or 2 days, but here in Jordan it takes you different loops and you don't know what the real path that you have to go
So
through.
if we are sending a message, we'll send a message to private sector and government, and we need to see you more around us, with us, supporting us as startup community, or we'll just give them the same message that leave us alone and we can do it alone.
No, actually we need more clarity about
You need them or you don't need them? You need them to be there.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think they're essential for the success of the startup moving into the next level in Jordan?
Yeah, I think without the government, I don't think that things can happen.
What about
There's-
private
it's a,
sector?
it's a collaboration. It's a collaboration.
Both, as I said again, they need to, like the government needs to set all the policies in place and let the private sector catalyze, bring in, and then build up and export. As a tech company, for example, you can register it and you're automatically exempted from taxes for all your exports. That alone, from the government as a policy, is an encouragement for the private sector to actually produce, work harder, and export. And the tax exemption, we all know, will make your product, when it reaches the other market that it's intended to, cheaper. So we are working in the right direction, but as we all agree, it's too slow. Turning the electronic government would really speed up the process. As Anas said, having the ability to register a company online from my phone while sitting at home or a cafe is a great advantage. Instead of me filing for paperwork and waiting for someone to come in عشان to install العداد الكهرباء وعداد المي, it takes longer. So if we work faster towards the direction of having an electronic government, I think a lot of the issues will be resolved.
Muhammad, I'll come back.
Well, I think each and every country in the world have their own regulations, and even friends of mine in the States, even in UK, they said there is a process. You can do it online, but at least for legal issues, regulatory issues, there is certain procedures you have to go through. There's not an easy, simple way to go through a company because there is a liability on the owners. If you create a company and sell a service, you have to be legally protected, and the customer is protected. But I think in cases here in Jordan, a famous startup that we all know have registered their company as a mobile app development company, and they thought that they have an exemptions from taxes. And then they found there's taxes on them, and they went back to the government. They said, okay, this product code is exempt from taxes, and the old one is not. So you are not, you don't have this. Yes. And the other case of also a company here in Amman is registered in PVI, and this company
So that takes us, Muhammad, to the support question. Are the startups getting the proper support in Jordan, which means the support comes in terms of mentors, advisors, tax consultants, technical advisors. Are they having a well-structured, organized support system that helps them in, Wallah, you don't pick up this code, you don't register this, and you don't do this, and you have to get an exemption letter or not exemption letter.
we see this.
Do you have it?
No, we learned from our own pockets. Or
So-
from other peers who went
So do
through
you
the
think if we
experience.
get the proper support system for the startup community,
It's very
their life
important.
will be much easier and
Yes.
progress will be faster?
And stages, like in this stage you would expect this and that, we definitely need
Unless I
support.
wanted to say something.
Yeah, as I can say, one of the suggestions is about this relationship, ضمان اجتماعي and رخصة مهن and insurance. They are all in policies.
Medical insurance.
The medical insurance, you cannot get ضمان اجتماعي unless you have رخصة مهن, and you cannot get رخصة مهن unless you have ضمان اجتماعي, and you don't know, and you cannot get medical insurance unless you have ضمان اجتماعي.
So are you with a complete different process registration
I
policies for
think-
startups?
Yeah, I think so. We have to, like, we have a Syrian employees in our company. Sometimes, I don't know if there is another one from ضمان اجتماعي here. We hide them, so when we come, they don't discover that we were hiring illegal Syrian or Egyptian. You know, okay, give me a chance to enroll them in ضمان اجتماعي and I can solve it. So we have a lot of talents here. We have Syrian, Egyptians, but we cannot get إقامة or residency for them, or either for the Lebanese. It's very.
in Jordan, so there seems to be a reason for that. I'm not saying wrong or right.
I will.
They
The
have
thing
something to
is,
argue about, to be fair to the government.
the thing is, most of what you said, it was tackled by the law, or by the policy, or by the regulation, somewhere in some place. But apparently there is a gap between the decisions taken and the understanding of the startups and how to do business, which I think it's the process thing. It's not the there was some intact work on plenty of exemptions for the startup. Apparently, it's not explained enough to the startups themselves because the awareness has not been there. Even the foreign employment is tackled as well. By the way, you can bring in non-Jordanians to work for startups, and there are rules and policies and regulations for that. So I think you can enlarge need to play that role where we'll have to. That's us. Sorry, I forgot.
I'll give you an example in Palestine. Palestine, we did a law for exemption for startups, for example. And mainly the companies who got benefited from this law is the big companies because they have lawyers that know well the law and they can go through it, and also finance people. So only the big companies that they got they were the only beneficiaries of such exemptions, and the small companies are not.
But Arab, one thing which is a message to the startup community, that they have to become a community. And we asked a question. We gave you the position of the one and only decision maker for the startup ecosystem in Jordan. And to be honest, do we really, as startups, know what we want and what do we want to change to be more successful? We repeat policy, we repeat tax exemption, we repeat whatever is being repeated in general. But do we really know what is it exactly that we need to change in this country to have more successful startups, more mature startups?
I have an answer for this country.
My concern is Jordan at the moment.
Yeah, but as a startup only in Jordan, I don't think it's a viable idea. I think you have to scale up to other countries. I mean,
scaling up, and I
Yeah.
have no problem with scaling up. In the
we
contrary,
have so many boundaries.
I'll give you a statement. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I see the opportunities in the Middle East region are 100 times more than the opportunities, in the West.
Yes,
Because we have plenty of challenges that need solutions.
yes. For us as a startup with some physical presence in each country we go, we need to have residency for employees in Saudi Arabia, and we need to have an office there. If you want to sign a contract with a gym in Kuwait, you have to have an entity in Kuwait. There is no awareness.
Challenges are everywhere. This is what you're telling me.
Yeah, but these borders, and I think makes the market fragmented and small for every entrepreneur.
And I'll go with the last question before we open it up for the audience to ask if they have questions. I'm going to ask you on your wish list. So if you have a wish list, you got the genie out of the
For Jordan only.
which
Jordanian startup. The question is for you as a Jordanian startup. And if you are given the chance to do 3 wishes, what are they? As a startup, for startups.
It's kind of sad to say, but I would really appreciate government loans that are not as vicious as investment money. So you can give us some room to actually work on our startup without being so scared of losing certain opportunities and so. To please, let's have everything online, all the information online. We spend a lot of time doing that. But I also like to just go back to your point. Yes, we don't know what we want because this is not what we do. What we do is we are trying to build the business, and as we go, we realize, oh, I have a difficulty here and there. So if we sit in let's say, a one-time session where it's emceed and we can discuss all the problems, we can pinpoint the top
The
ones.
power is in building the communities. If you ask me, I would just put all what you said at the end and know. I wish to see a strong, well-structured community who can fight for itself within the market.
And what's actually helping us out is the fact that we're talking to each other. We're like, I've been through that. It's not
Socially
not the only
talking.
one.
Socially talking.
Socially, but it's more of a business. Yeah, socially, but we look at it as a business, like group or meeting or stuff. So I think I have 2 wishes. I don't need more.
Anas, you have different wishes?
Yeah, I have maybe 2 wishes now.
Yeah.
Maybe removing all these boundaries between countries so we can scale up fast and without this complexity. The other thing
That will send a message to the Arab.
yeah. So, the other thing is having VCs without that risk-averse attitude.
Okay.
I know they need validations from more exits and so, but we cannot get more exits without taking risks.
We can.
To try and create a sense of community. By that I mean the point I was mentioning earlier. It's the idea of having access to mentorship, having access to all the data that you're looking for in a digital form. The electronic government, I'm going to sum them up. It's not specifically 1 or 2 wishes. Those are all tools that help with tax exemption, for example, having a different set of rules for startups, hosting them in a different location, for example. It doesn't have to be a new city. It can be a few buildings here and there, and you create the startup ecosystem. It can be born from there. So it's tax exemptions, more support, more visibility, clarity on all the policies that the government are implementing.
Okay. Maybe I can add this wish, the sales tax should be removed for startups.
Yeah. Let's see what the new tax law. Muhammad, other than free Palestine, which is the wish of everyone.
But I think for startups, we have to work together, talk to each other, build the community. Let's work together.
Let's spark this.
And then work on the human resources. Let's start from schools with the English language, typing skills, programming languages. So let's bring out the best of our education system, of course, and then prepare the startups for the investment, because there is a lot of money out there, not only in Jordan, in the region, but I think we're not ready to acquire the money, manage the investments, and
Can we create opportunities for startups?
of course,
Can we?
Yes, of course. There's many opportunities here in Jordan, in the region.
And who can own the
Power of creating the opportunities for startups.
I think the private sector can lead, not the government. Not,
So you believe private sector?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Right.
Maybe the private sector, I mean, the LPs with incentivizing the LPs and making the awareness for them, the reward of investing in the VCs as well. Maybe that can make change.
Lubna, how do you feel after
Getting into a very dark black tunnel? What is it, the light that you saw at the end of the tunnel, that give you the power, okay, to carry on and pull yourself up into a success story investors are willing now to put more money into the company than they were willing to put at the peak of the success of the company.
It's definitely an excellent question. So for those
You're
who
all
don't
women
know-
in the company, right?
Sorry?
You're mainly women in this company, right?
No,
Huh?
but the majority are
So
women.
you hire men?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Because the leaders are asking for that.
Gender equality.
Don't tell them I said that. Yeah, but we have more women than men, it's true. But I'm not biased. It just happened that way. So back in 2016, we had some certain difficulties. I'm not the founder of the business. Someone founded the business and he left. I was part of the I was heading the operations. And the thing that made me stick and say this business should not close down is because there were businesses. We have online stores that are operating on our platform. And every day I was on the day-to-day with the clients. People are running online stores and they don't know. Again, back to the knowledge. There is no online resources in Arabic specifically. So Shoppa was leading on that. I do believe that we have the biggest knowledge of e-commerce online on our platform. So seeing all of that, knowing that these businesses are going to close down out of a sudden is not something right. It was a big risk. I was willing to take it. I didn't know where it's going to take me. But I think it's taking me to where we are now. We have more stores now.
Good place.
It's a very big place. We were done with all the troubles that we had, 99%, let's say.
So,
And
I ask you this question for one thing before we move to the audience. You know, the main success factor is not only in the government or the private sector or the ecosystem or the policy board. It is in the hearts of the startup. So if you have a heart of a startup, you'll overcome all the challenges that is around you. So it starts from the heart, in my opinion.
Definitely. It's not only that. If you don't believe in it, no one's going to help you. So there are problems everywhere. You need to just pick your battles and
You need to
see
believe
how
in
to...
it, and you need to get other people to believe in you as well and work with you. So,
Exactly.
Because you need people. Questions, if you have any.
And you asked the question, what should we do to create opportunities for startups? And I just wanted to comment, as long as we have a government like the ones we have, okay, startups come to solve problems, and we have governments that are always creating problems. So I don't see a problem in the pipeline. There should always be plenty out of that. All we have to do is to think, what are the pains of people? What are the pains of the patient, consumer, mother, father, employee, etc., retiree, a person with disability, and with each and every problem that we find, there has to be a solution. Technology is helping us. The other comment is regarding what is required. You know, I wonder why isn't the Ministry of ICT available today, heavily filling all the seats, okay, of the MENA ICT forum and listening to those messages. And
Their scope is the opening.
sorry.
Their scope is the opening only.
Yeah, I know. You know, the beautiful part of the music and the plays and the fun, you know, but this is where they should be.
No, they're trying. Haram.
That's not enough. You know, a public servant is a public servant. They're just.
Be positive.
I'm not
Let
talking-
someone ask.
I'm not talking about the minister. I'm talking about the whole ministry. It should be here. Okay. But the other thing is, you know, I'm not. So the other thing is the startups themselves. Okay, I see a lot of people that are in a hurry. They don't want to put the efforts. Okay, and they want to exit. You know, they go into a business thinking of exit, and that's it's like going into a marriage thinking of divorce. It does not work. You know, you go into a business, you believe in it, you go there for keeps. Now, if an exit happens and it is a win-win and it makes sense, it does. But not everybody has to be in a two.com. And you know, it takes patience. You cannot short circuit all your last 3 years and retire, you know. I see a lot of people, you know, trying to do that. So they end up going prematurely to investors, thinking they are angel investors, and they're nothing but angel. Okay, and of course those are, you know, business people in this area. All right. Well, okay, that was my own participation for the
You were supposed to be on the panel,
Actually, but I think it's brilliant advices from a person who actually stands behind the major success stories in Jordan. So thank you very much. But we need some. Yeah, please, sir. We need some straightforward questions if you don't
The
mind.
start up over here start from capital zero.
Yes, some from 0, some from 2 digits, some from 5, some from 6. It depends. Whom do you know? Please.
Excuse me. Assalamu alaikum. يعطيكم العافية.
Some from below 0 actually. I know people who started below 0.
we believe in الايكو سيستم طبعا واهميه الايكو سيستم. الحكومه يوم تجي دورها انها تسوي البروسيس وتسهل البروسيس وتخليه فيري سمبل حق المبادرين، هذا دورها، ما مطلوب منها اكثر يعني.
اليوم سبورتي
بالضبط. فاليوم اللي مطلوب من عفوا يعني استراتيجيه واضحه، لان احنا عندنا تجربه في الكويت في الايكو سيستم في الحقيقه. ما قدرنا نتحرك في السنوات الاخيره في الايكو سيستم الا يوم ربطنا الشركات والمؤسسات المتنوعه مع بعض في بلاتفورم. لكن كل اللي نردد على ليلى ما راح تمشي. فالايكو سيستم يكون قوي جدا ويكون فلكسبل يوم نربط الجهات الحكوميه والخاصه والساسه والبحثيه والفندس وكلها في ايكو سيستم يكون واضح دور كل واحد فيه.
انا بدي اسالك سؤال مدام we're talking about Kuwait.
نعم.
I know that Kuwait has been trying to do this for a long time, and something happened in Kuwait, which we could not find the answer, that made a turnaround in the ecosystem. What was it? Is it طلبات.com that made the change?
اعتقد اكثر تاثير الشباب، تاثير الشباب نفسهم على الساحه. فلذلك تم خلق وزاره خاصه بالشباب، وتم اسراع في يعني في تاريخ انشاء المؤسسات انشئت بسرعه جدا في دعم من صاحب السمو الله يحفظه. فتم تسريع الدعم والاهتمام بالشباب، وكذلك احنا كنا نعيش وعشنا ترى ما زلنا نعيش في نفس ولكن اليوم في تذهب الى وزاره التجاره ولا تذهب الى وزاره الشؤون على شان الاعمال تلقى جزء خاص حق المبادرين. تم في السنه الاخيره، ترى هذا نتكلم عن 3 سنوات، احنا كنا نتكلم عن مشاكل هذه قبل 3 سنوات 4 سنوات، بس ترى بسنتين كل شيء ممكن يصير. اليوم اليوم بالضبط، اليوم قانون المناقصات تم تعديله عشان يشمل في اقل من 75,000 دينار كويتي مناقصات الستارت اب في الحكومه. اذا هذا دور الحكومه انها
عدم نظام المناقصات.
نظام المناقصات تم بالفعل 75,000، وكان تم تصنيف الشركات الشبابيه لتقديم الخدمات في الحكومه من اكل ومن ويب سايت ومن
والله تستحقون الاحترام على هذا الرجل.
احنا بالاخير تعلمنا من اخواننا في الاردن يعني، والسوق الاردني والشباب الاردن والسكيلز قاعد تفيد الدول العربيه كلها يعني، هذا واقع وبالعكس يعني متطوره جدا. الاخوان في الاردن استفدنا منهم الكثير يعني.
احنا الحلم اللي عندنا مشترك في كثير ناس بيعرفوا. الحلم اللي عندنا هو الانكوبيتر العربي.
بالضبط.
الانكوبيتر مش اللي خاص ببلد معين، اللي يفتح الحدود. يعني الشباب قالوا ما بدناش حدود، الانكوبيتر العربي ممكن يفتح الحدود.
بالضبط. وانا بعد عندي سؤال بس اخير. احنا الحين مثلا الحكومه وايد تقدم غير المناقصات، وايد سؤالك عفوا اخوي في الاوبن داتا وين عنها؟ الامم المتحده شرعت قانون في ملكيه الاوبن داتا حق الكل. اليوم الحكومات يعني بشكل عام لو تفتح المعلومات هذه للستارت ابس تجد الاف البزنس الموجود.
هذا اللي طلب قلوبنا.
بالضبط. فاين دور يعني السؤال، هل في استراتيجيه واضحه؟
راح ناخذ هذا السؤال، راح ناخذ كمان سؤال قبل ما نجاوب.
Sir, in the back. Oh no, yes.
I'd like to, I'm Chris, I live in Boston, and I'd like to thank the panelists for your candidness today. I've been with startups, I've mentored them, we have a really good ecosystem in Boston, and I'm with an early stage company now, I'm getting ready to raise the C round. I know how hard it is where I am, and so I compliment you for how well you're doing here. So thank you for enlightening me, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, the question was I'm best
It's a quick observation and a question. TechCrunch recently analyzed all the developing world startup ecosystems. And one of the primary findings has been that 67% of them have failed miserably because they tend to replicate or try to replicate the Silicon Valley. One of our fundamental challenges seems to be is that we're not looking at local issues and we're not solving local problems. Now, 445 million in the Arab world, lots and lots of problems. You mentioned that, sir, in terms of the opportunity. But all the startups seem to be trying to replicate the Silicon Valley. What are we going to do about it? All these ecosystem issues you spoke are operational. The fundamental focus outside of Palestine seems to be in the replication mode. Any suggestions or recommendations on how you enablers are going to make that big leap of faith and shift?
And I have to agree with you because innovation, entrepreneurship is all about identifying the problems, a challenge, a complicated process, a time-consuming process, an energy-consuming process, and find a solution for that, and then you'll be the next a billionaire. It's not about making $1 billion. It's about finding the problem that you're going to solve to make $1 billion. So, which I agree with you, we have plenty of them in our region. But on the open data question, I don't think any of us can answer that. I think Bashar, you can answer the open data question.
خليني احكي لك على موضوع الاوبن داتا احمد. هاي شغله كثير مهمه بصراحه. البوليسي اليوم بالجفرمنت اوريدي انعمل اوبن داتا بوليسي، يعني حق استخدام البيانات الحكوميه اوريدي موجود في كل المؤسسات الوزاريه. مشكلتنا الرئيسيه اليوم انه ما في حدا من الوزارات عم تعطي فرصه للستارت ابس يروحوا مثلا على وزاره الطاقه ولا وزاره الزراعه الى اخره، يتبنوا يكون عندهم انكوبيترز يتبنوا هاي الافكار من الستارت ابس يحلوا مشاكلهم. يعني اعطيك مثال اليوم بلديه بتركيا ولا باحدى الدول
open data law is there, but it's not being implemented.
بس الفكره احمد اليوم يعني زي ما صار بالكويت.
But I have the right as a startup to walk into an institution and say I want the information. And by law they have to give it to me.
كنت بوزاره الصناعه والتجاره وسالتهم لمراقب الشركات هل بقدر احصل اليوم مش على سي دي على داتا، بقدر احصل على اي بي اي او كونكتيفيتي للداتا الموجوده وابني ابس. حكى لي بالنسبه للقانون الجديد موجود بس قوانين العقارات لا تسمح انك تقدر تبني هذا الشيء. فنرجع نعرف المره الثانيه. فذيس از ذا ايديا.
Thank you. محمد السؤال. احنا هلا ما حد يسال البند
Actually سؤالي لكل حدا على البند. مينا اي سي تي وريتش 2025 كان الهدف الرئيسي منهم انه الاردن تصير هاب لستارت ابس سواء من الاردن او خارج الاردن. حاب اسمع باكسبيرينس من كل حدا على الريجوليشنز بالاردن اللي واحد بتخلي العمليه جدا معقده على اي حدا عنده ستارت ابس جاي من برا البلد. اثنين فيما يتعلق باستقطاب اي عمايل من خارج القانون الاردني بيمنع كثير بوزيشنز وكثير جنسيات. فأردت
So the question is on the topic that we discussed, bringing in people from outside or someone from outside operating in Jordan.
I think you're the best to answer. Yes, I think for me it is hard to, as an Jordanian, to establish a company here in Jordan. There's many relations, but as entrepreneurs, we always find legal ways. Our model as entrepreneurs is to find obstacles as opportunities. So we go for all the obstacles we face, we found opportunities to overcome those. So for example, I found an umbrella organization that can host me for 2 or 3 years until I found the legal framework that can support me legally in Jordan. I think it's an entrepreneurial mindset to overcome all the challenges here in Jordan and everywhere else in the world.
I think we should ask ourselves what we want to be. Do we want to be the kitchen, the creative place? So if we want to position ourselves as the kitchen, we have to make it very easy for people to open an entity in Jordan. So I will tell you my own experience. I co-founded the Lamsa app. I don't know if you heard about it. It's the #1 kids app in the Arab world. We started from Saudi Arabia. So we wanted to build the kitchen in Amman, but we faced so many problems with opening the kitchen here because we don't have 2 years audited financials. So we went back and brought our old company called Irtiqa. We opened the company here as Irtiqa. We made a kind of agreement between Irtiqa and Lamsa as operational agreement.
Yeah, I think Anas, what you're saying is something that we need to work at.
Yeah, I think that they made the law easy, but they made the implementation difficult. We need to work on the implementation.
Yeah, I mean the positioning. If you want to position yourself as something, you have to make it easy for people.
I think we run out of time, long time. So I want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank the audience for staying with us. Sorry. تفضلي طبعا. احنا بنضل قاعدين قد ما بدك طول ما هم ما حدا بينشر لنا. تفضل.
انا بدي احكي انه شو الفرق الموجود عندنا في الاردن بحاله صارت معي انا تقريبا يمكن قبل اقل من سنه كنت عم بعمل دراسه بالكترونيك هيومن ريسورسز مانجمنت وكانت كيس ستدي تاعتي شركات الاتصالات الاردنيه فكثير عانيت حتى قدرت انه مثلا اوزع الاستبيانات لانه عندي دراسه وكان انا برايي انه المورد البشري هو اهم شيء ممكن يكون بس في شركات تعاونوا معي في شركات للاسف ما تعاونوا معي بالرغم انه انا تواصلت مع مديرة الاتش ار حتى الناس اللي تواصلوا معي من شركات الاتصالات اضطريت اني ادخل علاقات فوق حتى اقدر اوصل الاستبيانات فانه الموضوع عندنا فيه فرجه كثير كبيره لانه انا اذا بدي احكي عن مجرد استبيانات مش عم بقدر اوزعها عشان تفيد دراستي وبتوقع انه هي الدراسه بتفيد الاردن بتفيد الطلاب بتفيد الشباب بتفيد كل الناس كيف احنا بدنا نساعد الستارت ابس؟ كيف؟ هاي يعني هذا سؤال بتمنى انه حضرتك تجاوب
هذا السؤال بدك جواب.
كيف احنا بدنا نساعدهم وانا واحده من الناس او واحده من شباب الاردن اللي انا كنت عم بعمل دراسه وكنت كان الموضوع هذا بالنسبه لي كثير مهم ما لقيت اي مساعده. احنا عم نعاني من
السؤال واضح فاذا بدك اجاوبك عليه بجاوبك. السؤال واضح. اليوم your individual case هذا لا يعني انه الشركات ما بيسمحوا بالاستبيانات. اوكي بس انت بتحكي عن individual case والشركه زي اليوم احنا بندربوا الشباب، بندرب الشباب ناخذ عدد 50 100 150 بس ما بنقدرش ناخذ ال 151 عرفتي؟ والاستبيانات بنفس الوقت انا بجاوبك من تجربه قديمه لانه انا هلا مش انفولف بهذا الموضوع ولكن بناخذ استبيانات وبنساعد ستودنتس انهم يوزعوا استبيانات عنا. بس انا بدي اقول لك شغله اليوم اجاوبك انا بشكل شخصي لانه انا نوت انفولف هلا. الشركات اللي موجوده في ريبريزنتيفز لهم اليوم بيسمعوكي وبيجاوبوا هم او بيغيروا سياستهم اذا بدهم. بس عم بقول لك انه في ناس عملوا استبيانات جوا الشركه لما انا كنت موجود كثار وما بنقدر اعطي لك اياهم. ولكن اذا بدك استبيانات من موظفين شركات الاتصالات والشركه ما خلتك لاقي الموظفين خليهم يعبوا لك الاستبيانات. ان شاء الله بتوقفي على باب الشركه عرفتي؟ ان شاء الله بتستنيهم هم داخلين وهم طالعين تقول لهم بليز عبوا لي هذا الاستبيان ما حدا بيمنعك. عرفتي؟ تيجي على زي
I'm going to stop there right now. I'm sure this conversation carry on a bit later on. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Anna panelists as well. Very interesting and very productive as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is it for day number 1 of the MENA ICT Forum 2018. If you've enjoyed today, guess what? We're going to do it all again tomorrow as well. We kick off tomorrow right here on this stage at 9:30. So join us tomorrow at 9:30 for day 2 of MENA ICT Forum 2018.